Rian had flown many ships in his life, but none as fast or as powerful as the Falcon. It was his pride and joy, his trusted companion on countless journeys through the stars. But today, something went terribly wrong. The warning lights flashed red. The engine sputtered and groaned like a beast in pain. Rian's hands moved quickly, trying to fix the problem, but the ship shook violently. The stars outside the window twisted and blurred as the Falcon spiraled out of control. With a deep breath, Rian grabbed the controls and searched for a place to land. Below him was a strange planet, blue and green, with swirling clouds and wide lands. He aimed for a flat area surrounded by tall trees, hoping to crash softly. There was no time for careful landing. The ship hit the ground with a violent crash, throwing Rian forward in his seat. For a moment, there was silence. Then the ship groaned, metal creaked, and smoke began to fill the cockpit. Rian coughed, wiped his face, and unbuckled himself. He pushed open the door and stepped outside. The air was fresh but strange. The sky was pale pink, and two suns shone down on the land. Tall trees with silver leaves surrounded him, and distant mountains rose in the background. Rian took a deep breath. He was alive. But he was alone on an unknown planet. He looked at the broken ship. The Falcon was badly damaged. Engines were dead. The communication system was silent. He would have to find help. Help even existed here. Rian packed a small bag with essentials: a water bottle, some food rations, a multi-tool, and a small weapon. He checked his scanner. The planet's atmosphere was breathable, but he detected signs of life nearby. He moved cautiously through the forest. The trees whispered in the wind, and strange birds called out from above. The ground was soft and covered with blue grass. Rian kept his senses alert, knowing this planet was not Earth. He had no idea what he might find. After walking for a while, he saw smoke rising in the distance. His heart quickened. Could there be people here, or something else? Rian moved closer and saw a group of people gathered around a fire. They looked human but different. Well, the women were tall, strong, and carried weapons like swords and spears. The men stood quietly, watching the women. The women spoke with confidence and strength. Rian hid behind a tree, watching carefully. The women were training in combat, throwing spears and practicing sword strikes. The men did not fight. Instead, they waited silently, as if the women were the leaders. A large woman with short dark hair called out, "Who comes to our land?" Rian stepped out slowly, raising his hands to show he meant no harm. "My name is Rian. I come from another world. My ship crashed here." The women looked at him with suspicion. The large woman stepped forward, her eyes sharp and steady. "You must prove yourself," she said. "Here, women choose their mates by combat. If you want to stay, you must face our warriors." Rian was surprised but nodded. He had never heard of such a custom. On Earth, people chose partners in different ways. But this was their world, their rules. "I accept," Rian said calmly. The woman smiled slightly. "Good. You have courage. The first challenge will come at dawn." Rian spent the night near the fire, watching the people carefully. He noticed how the men moved quietly, avoiding trouble, and how the women trained hard every day. There was respect and order, but also power and strength in the way the women carried themselves. At dawn, Rian stood in a clearing. The sun was just rising, casting golden light on the grass. A young woman with bright eyes stepped forward, holding a wooden practice sword. "This is your first fight," she said simply. Rian nodded, ready but careful. The fight began. The woman moved quickly, striking with skill and precision. Rian blocked her attacks, using his training and instincts. He saw that the women here were not just fighters, they were warriors, shaped by their culture. After several minutes, Rian found an opening and disarmed the woman. She smiled and nodded.
"You win."
The other women watched silently, impressed but cautious. The large woman stepped forward again. "You fight well, but this is only the beginning." Rian felt a mixture of pride and respect. He had entered a world unlike any other. Here, strength was tested in battle, and respect was earned by skill. As the day passed, Rian learned more about their ways. The women led the tribes, chose their partners by combat, and protected their people fiercely. The men helped but did not challenge the women's authority. Rian realized this planet was a place where old ideas of power and gender did not apply. Here, survival and strength shaped everything. That night, Rian sat by the fire, thinking about what lay ahead. I had never lost a fight in his life, but he knew this world would test him in new ways. The women's combat was more than just fighting, it was a way of life. As he looked at the stars, Rian felt a spark inside him. This crash had changed everything. He was no longer just a pilot lost in space. He was a challenger, a fighter, in a world where women chose their mates by combat, and he had never lost before. The morning sun painted the sky with soft pink and orange as Rian woke up near the fire. His body ached from the long day and the fight, but his mind was sharp. He knew the challenges would only get harder. This world was unlike any other. Had known, the large woman who had first spoken to him was already waiting by the edge of the clearing. Her name was Nara. She was tall and strong, the eyes like sharp steel and a calm voice that carried the weight of command. Today, you face a real warrior, Nara said. You must prove yourself again, or you will not stay. Rian nodded. He understood the seriousness. The people of this planet did not welcome strangers lightly. To live here, he had to earn respect and trust. The tribe gathered around. Women armed with swords, spears, and shields formed a circle. Men stood back, watching quietly. Rian noticed the silent support the men gave to the women, but also their calm acceptance of the rules. The challenger stepped forward, a woman named Kira. She was lean and quick, with eyes that seemed to miss nothing. Her movements were sharp, like a hunting cat ready to pounce. Rian took his stance, steady and ready. The fight began. Kira attacked with speed, her blade flashing in the sunlight. Rian blocked and dodged, trying to read her moves. She was different. From the woman he had fought yesterday, Kira's strikes were precise and powerful. She fought not just with strength but with skill. The battle lasted longer this time. Rian found himself pushed back several times, his arms tiring from blocking her blows. But he did not give up. He used his experience, his quick thinking, and his calm. Suddenly, Kira lunged forward, aiming to land a final strike. Rian twisted and caught her wrist. Using her momentum, he gently threw her off balance. She fell to the ground, breathing hard. But smiling, "You win again," she said, respect in her voice. The tribe watched silently, surprised and impressed. Rian was new here, but he had already defeated 2 of their warriors. The women exchanged looks. This stranger was not like any man they had seen before. Nara stepped forward and placed a hand on Rian's shoulder. You fight well, but the true test is not just in winning, it is in understanding our ways. If you want to live here, you must learn why we fight. Rian nodded, wiping sweat from his brow. I want to understand. Yeah. Please teach me. Yeah. For the next several days, Rian stayed with the tribe. He trained with the women, learning their techniques and customs. He listened to their stories about the planet, their history, the reasons behind their traditions. He learned that on this planet, women chose their mates through combat to ensure strength, courage, and respect in their leaders and families. The men accepted this because they knew it kept the tribe strong and safe. Rian found it strange but also honest. There was no pretense, no lies, just clear rules and respect earned through skill. One evening, while sitting by the fire, Mira, a quiet but strong woman, spoke to him. You are different from the others who came before you, she said softly. They tried to fight without respect. You fight with respect. Rian smiled. Thank you. I want to be part of this world, if you will have me. Mira looked at him for a moment and then nodded. There is someone you must meet. She is the strongest warrior on the planet. If you want to live here, you will have to face her. Rian's heart quickened. Who is she? Mira's eyes shone. Her name is Tessa. No one has defeated her. If you fight her, you will understand what strength truly means. Rian felt a mix of fear and excitement. He had never met anyone he could not defeat. This was a challenge unlike any other. The next morning, the tribe gathered again. Word spread quickly about Rian's skills. Some women were curious, others cautious. Then, from the shadows, Tessa appeared. She was tall and powerful, her presence commanding attention. Her eyes were sharp, and her movements were calm but full of strength. She spoke clearly. "Rian, you have fought well, but now you face me. This fight will decide your place here." Rian bowed his head slightly, accepting the challenge. Tribe fell silent. The air was heavy with anticipation. The fight would come soon. Rian knew he had to prepare, not just with strength but with heart. As he trained, he thought about what Mira had said. Strength was more than winning. It was about respect, courage, and understanding. Rian was ready for what came next. He was not just a pilot who had crashed on a strange planet. He was a challenger in a new world, where women chose their mates. By combat, and soon he would face the greatest challenge of all. The sun hung high in the pale pink sky as Rian trained harder than ever before. Every day, he practiced with the tribe's women, learning their fighting styles and customs. His body ached from the effort, but he welcomed the challenge. He wanted to be ready for Tessa, the strongest warrior on the planet. But as Rian grew stronger, not everyone in the tribe welcomed him. Some women saw him as an outsider who did not belong. Others respected his courage but worried about what his presence meant for their traditions. One afternoon, as Rian sparred with a warrior named Lyra, a group of women approached. Their leader was a tall woman with fiery red hair and sharp eyes. Her name was Kayla, and she was known for her skill and pride. Kayla's voice was cold. "You fight well, stranger, but you do not understand our ways. You have not lived here long enough to earn your place." Rian paused, breathing hard. "I respect your customs, Kayla. I am learning every day." Kayla's eyes narrowed. "Respect is not enough. You've defeated many of our warriors, and that makes them afraid. The rules say that any challenger can face you now." The other women murmured, their eyes flicking to Rian. He felt their judgment like a heavy weight. Rian stood tall. "I accept any challenge. I want to prove myself." That evening, the tribe gathered in the main clearing. A crowd of warriors surrounded Rian as Kayla stepped forward. "You will fight me," she said. "If you win, you keep your place. If you lose, you leave." The tension was thick. Rian nodded. He could feel the eyes of the tribe on him, expecting, hoping, or perhaps doubting. The fight began. Kayla was fierce and fast. She moved like a storm, striking hard and retreating quickly. Rian blocked and dodged, matching her speed and power. The fight was intense, each strike echoing through the clearing. Rian remembered Mira's words. Strength was more than winning. It was respect, courage, and understanding. He waited for his moment. Kayla attacked with a powerful strike, but Rian sidestepped and caught her arm. Using her momentum, he gently pushed her to the ground. The crowd was silent. Kayla looked up, breathing hard. Then, slowly, she smiled and nodded. "You fight with honor. You have earned your place." The tension in the tribe eased. Kayla reached out her hand. "You have my respect." Anna helped her hand and helped her up. The other women stepped forward, offering quiet nods and smiles. That night, as the tribe celebrated, Rian found Mira sitting by the fire. "You handled Kayla well," she said. "She is proud and strong but fair. Many respect her." Rian smiled. "I want to earn everyone's trust, not just fight." Mira looked at him thoughtfully. "That will not be easy. Some still fear what you represent." Rian nodded. "I understand. But I will not give up." Over the next few days, Rian continued to train and learn. He discovered more about the planet and its people, and the women were warriors not just in battle but in life. They protected their families and led their tribes with wisdom and strength. One morning, while walking near the forest edge, Rian noticed a group of men gathering quietly. They spoke in low voices, watching him carefully. A man named Joran approached. He was tall and calm, with eyes full of kindness. "You are not like the others," Joran said. "Most men do not challenge the women's rules. You do." Rian nodded. "I want to understand this world. I want to be part of it." Joran smiled. "You have courage. That is rare." They talked for a while, and Rian learned that the men here were loyal and supportive. They worked hard to protect their families and respected the women's leadership. Joran offered his friendship. "If you ever need help, find me." Rian felt grateful. He had found an ally. As the days passed, news spread that Tessa, the greatest warrior, would soon return. The tribe prepared for the coming fight. Everyone whispered about the stranger who had never lost until now. Rian trained harder. But he also thought about more than just combat. He wanted to understand Tessa, the woman who had defeated him before. One evening, Myra invited Rian to a quiet place near the river. "Tessa is not just a fighter," Myra said softly. "She carries the hopes of our people. Her strength is more than skill. It is heart and spirit." Rian looked at the flowing water, thinking, "I want to learn from her, not just fight her." Myra smiled. "Then you will be ready when the time comes." The night sky filled with stars, and Rian felt a new hope. He was no longer just a pilot lost on a strange planet. He was a part of something bigger, a world where strength meant respect, courage, and connection, and soon he would face the greatest test of all. The air felt different that morning. The tribe moved with quiet energy. Even the birds in the silver trees seemed to sing more sharply. Word had spread Tessa was returning. Rian stood near the training grounds, watching as the warriors polished their weapons and brushed dust from their armor. There was no panic, no fear, only respect. Tessa was more than a champion. She was a symbol of their strength, the one no one had ever defeated. "She's coming from the mountain path," Myra said beside him. "She always returns that way. It is her way of reminding us where she trained alone." Rian nodded, his heart steady but alert. He had been preparing for this moment since the day he'd crash-landed. He had faced every challenge with strength and respect. But something about Tessa felt different even before meeting her. Around midday, a soft horn blew from the edge of the forest. All movement stopped. Even the wind seemed to pause from between the trees. Tessa walked into view. She was tall, powerful, and calm. Her armor was simple but clean, and she carried no weapon. Her eyes scanned the gathered tribe, and when they fell on Rian, they stayed there for a long moment. Rian stood still, returning her gaze. He saw no anger or pride in her eyes, only focus and understanding. She walked past the others and came to stand a few feet from him. "So," she said softly, "you are the one they speak of." "I am Rian," he replied. "I came here by accident, but I choose to stay by choice." Tessa tilted her head slightly. "Many have come, few understand. But you've caused waves in a still lake." "I only fight with respect," Rian said. "I want to learn, not destroy." The corner of Tessa's mouth lifted in a small smile. "Then we will see what you truly hold inside. We will fight when the moon rises." She turned and walked away, her steps silent and sure. The tribe remained quiet until she was gone. Then soft murmurs filled the air. Everyone knew this fight would not be like the others. That evening, the sky turned a deep purple as the twin moons began to rise. A large circle was drawn in the center of the village. Torches were lit, and the entire tribe gathered. Rian stood inside the circle, his heart steady. He had trained for this moment, but more than that, he wanted to understand Tessa's strength. She stepped into the ring without a weapon again. "You may use one if you choose," she said. Rian looked at the wooden practice sword in his hand and slowly dropped it outside the circle. "I will fight like you," he replied. A soft murmur moved through the crowd. Tessa nodded with quiet approval. The fight began not with a wild attack, but with slow, measured movements. Tessa moved like water, each step smooth and balanced. Rian mirrored her, trying to read her rhythm. Then she struck. A quick palm, too. His shoulders sent him off balance. Rian recovered and moved in, but she blocked him with ease. Her movements weren't just strong, they were wise, practiced, and patient. They circled again. "You fight with strength," she said during a pause. "But do you know when not to fight?" Rian didn't answer. He stepped forward with a strike. But Tessa dodged, caught his arm, and brought him to the ground gently. The crowd gasped. Rian rolled and stood again, breathing hard. He wasn't tired, but something inside him shifted. Tessa was not just testing his body, she was testing his heart. He looked at her carefully. "You fight to teach, not to win." Tessa's eyes held a calm light. "Now you begin to see." They clashed again, this time with more balance. Rian stopped trying to overpower her. Instead, he matched her movements, learned from them, flowed with them. But in the end, Tessa brought him down once more. He hit the ground softly, and for the first time since he arrived on this planet, he did not get back up to continue. He looked up at her from the ground. "You win." She held out her hand. "You understand now?" she said. Rian took it, and she pulled him to his feet. The tribe, silent a moment ago, burst into quiet applause, not for the winner, but for the respect between them. That night, around the fire, Tessa sat beside Rian for the first time. "You were the first outsider who has fought with more than fists," she said. "You listen, you grow. That is why you were worth testing." Rian nodded slowly. "I thought never losing meant strength. But now I know strength comes in many forms." Tessa looked at the flames. "Strength can be found in silence, in kindness, even in falling down and standing up again. Our people fight not for power, but for balance." Mira joined them with a small smile. "Now you understand our world." Rian smiled back. "I think I'm starting to." The night passed quietly, but Rian felt different. He had lost his first battle on this planet, but gained something far more important: understanding, respect, and a place in a world that once seemed so strange. The next morning, the sun rose over the silver leaves of the tall trees, casting long shadows across the village. The air was calm, but Rian felt a quiet tension beneath the peace. The fight with Tessa had changed everything. As he walked through the village, many eyes followed him. Some were filled with respect, others with curiosity, and a few with doubt. Rian knew winning or losing wasn't the only thing the tribe cared about now. They wanted to see if he truly belonged. Nara approached him near the training grounds. Her strong presence was both a comfort and a challenge. "Tessa has tested your strength," she said quietly. "Now you must prove your heart." Rian looked at her, puzzled. "What do you mean?" She smiled softly. "Strength is not only about fighting, it is about trust and understanding. Tomorrow, you will take the test of trust." Rian's heart quickened. "What is the test of trust?" Nara explained. "It is a challenge where you will show your loyalty to the tribe, your respect for our ways, and your ability to protect those who depend on you." The test of trust was an ancient tradition, held only for those who wished to join the tribe fully. It was more than a fight. It was a journey through the forest to retrieve a rare flower, guarded by dangers both natural and wild. It required courage, wisdom, and a kind heart. That evening, Rian prepared quietly. Mira joined him by the fire. "You have come far," she said, "but this test will show who you really are." Rian looked at the stars. "I am ready." Yeah. Next day, Rian stood at the edge of the forest. Nara gave him a small pouch for supplies and a sharp knife. "Remember," she said, "the flower grows near the cliffs beyond the Silver River. You must bring it back before sunset." With a deep breath, Rian stepped into the forest. The trees towered above him, their silver leaves shimmering in the light. The forest was alive, with sounds, birds singing, leaves rustling, and the soft flow of the distant river. As he walked deeper, Rian felt the quiet strength of the place. This forest was not like any he had seen before. It demanded respect. Suddenly, a low growl echoed nearby. Rian froze and looked around. A large creature, with fur the color of the earth and eyes glowing softly, stepped into view. It was a guardian of the forest, a creature both wild and wise. Rian did not reach for his knife. Instead, he lowered his hands and spoke softly. "I mean no harm. I seek only the flower." The creature studied him for a moment, then slowly stepped aside, allowing him to pass, Rian continued, feeling a deep connection to the forest. He understood now that strength was not only in fighting, but in respect for life. After hours of careful walking, he reached the cliffs by the Silver River. The rare flower grew on a narrow ledge, glowing faintly with a blue light. Carefully, Rian climbed down and picked the flower. As he did, the wind picked up, and the sky darkened with clouds. Thunder rumbled in the distance. He knew he had to hurry. The return journey was harder. The forest seemed alive with challenges. Fallen trees blocked his path, and rain began to fall. But Rian moved steadily, careful not to rush near the village. He heard a shout. Rushing forward, he saw a group of children trapped near a swollen river, unable to cross the rushing water. Without hesitation, Rian looked for a way to help. He found a fallen tree nearby and carefully moved it to create a bridge, one by one. The children crossed safely as the last child reached the village. Rian felt the weight of the flower in his hand and the gratitude in the people's eyes. Nara was waiting at the edge of the forest. She smiled warmly. "You passed the test of trust," she said. "You showed courage, wisdom, and heart." The tribe gathered to celebrate. Rian held the glowing flower, a symbol of his place among them. That night by the fire, Tessa approached him again. "You have grown," she said quietly. "Not just in strength, but in spirit." Rian smiled. "I am learning from Yuan, from all of you." Tessa looked at the stars. "Our world is not easy, but it rewards those who respect it." Rian nodded. "I want to stay, to protect and learn." The tribe watched, and for the first time, Rian felt truly at home. The days after the test of trust felt lighter, but the calm did not last long. The village hummed with quiet activity, preparing for the coming season when the nights grew colder and the forest darker. Rian found himself becoming part of the tribe, not just as a fighter, but as a friend, a protector, and a learner. One morning, as the sun spread soft gold over the silver leaves, Nara came to find Rian. "There is something you need to see," she said, her voice serious. Rian followed her toward the edge of the forest. The villagers gathered near a broken fence, whispering in low voices. Nara pointed to the ground. "Tracks," she said. "They are not from any animal we know. Something has been moving close to the village." Rian knelt down and studied the footprints carefully. They were large, with heavy steps, but the shape was strange. Almost human, but different. "We must find out what this is," Nara said. "It may be dangerous," Rian agreed. "I will go with a group to search." A small team formed. Nara, Mira, Joran, and Rian. They prepared quietly, taking only what they needed: weapons, food, and water. As they stepped into the forest, the light shifted. The silver leaves seemed to dim, and the sounds of birds faded. A cool wind whispered through the trees. Hours passed as they followed the tracks. The forest grew thicker, the paths harder to find. Rian noticed the trees here were older, their bark dark and rough. Suddenly, sound echoed a sharp snap of a branch. Everyone froze. Out of the shadows came a figure, tall being with pale skin and glowing eyes. It moved swiftly, almost silently, watching them carefully. Rian stepped forward. "Who are you?" he called. The figure did not answer, but turned and vanished deeper into the forest. Nara frowned. "We are not alone." The group continued cautiously, following the strange footprints to a hidden cave entrance covered with vines. "This place has been forgotten," Mira whispered. Inside the cave, the air was cold and damp. They lit torches and moved slowly, deeper. Inside, they found signs of recent activity: broken branches, marks on the rocks, and old symbols painted on the walls. "This is a place of power," Nara said, "but it has been disturbed." Suddenly, from the darkness, a group of figures appeared. They were like the one Rian had seen, tall, pale, and watching them with glowing eyes. One stepped forward, speaking in a language none understood. Rian raised his hand, trying to show peace. Slowly, Mira stepped forward and made signs with her hands, hoping to communicate. The leader of the group looked surprised and lowered his weapon. Spoke again, slowly this time, in broken words. "We protect forest. No harm." Nara relaxed. Slightly. "We protect village. No harm." After moments of silence, the two groups reached an understanding. These beings were guardians of the deep forest, watching to keep balance and protect the land from harm. Rian felt a deep respect for them. They were different, but their mission was the same, to protect what they loved. As the sun began to set, the two groups parted. The guardians returned to their shadows, and Rian's team headed back to the village. That night, around the fire, Rian thought about what they had seen. This world was full of mysteries, hidden dangers, and ancient protectors. Tessa joined him. Quietly. "You are learning fast," she said. "But remember, not all threats come from outside. Sometimes the greatest challenges are within." Rian looked at her. "What do you mean?" "Trust is fragile," Tessa said. "Even in a strong tribe, fear and doubt can grow like weeds." Rian nodded slowly. "I will be ready." The next days brought new challenges. Some members of the tribe questioned Rian's place among them. Whispers of doubt spread like shadows, but Rian kept his focus. He trained with the women, helped the men, and listened carefully. One afternoon, Kayla approached him again. "You have proven your strength," she said, "but now you must prove your loyalty." Rian met her gaze. "Tell me what I must do." Smiled slightly. "Come with me." She led him to a quiet part of the village where a group of children played near the river. "These children are our future," Kayla said softly. "Protecting them means protecting our world." Rian smiled. "I will protect them with my life." Kayla nodded. "Good. Then we will see if you truly belong." As the sun set, Rian felt a new sense of purpose. The challenges were many, but so were the rewards. He was no longer just a stranger who crashed on a strange planet. He was part of a world full of strength, mystery, and heart. And whatever came next, he would face it with courage. The morning sun painted the sky in soft shades of orange and gold as Rian stood outside the village, looking toward the distant mountains. The past weeks had changed him. What started as a crash landing on an unknown planet had become a journey of discovery, friendship, and understanding. He was no longer the outsider. The tribe had accepted him not because he was the strongest, but because he had learned their ways, respected their rules, and opened his heart. The day was important. The tribe would hold a ceremony to welcome Rian as one of their own. It was a rare honor, and Rian felt the weight of it. Mira approached, her eyes warm. "Are you ready?" Rian nodded. "I am." The entire tribe gathered in the clearing. Torches burned brightly, and the silver leaves of the trees shimmered softly in the light. Tessa stood beside Nara and Kayla, all watching with quiet pride. The village elder, an old woman with eyes full of wisdom, stepped forward. She spoke in a voice both gentle and strong. "Today, we welcome Rian into our tribe. He has shown courage, respect, and a true heart. He has passed the test of trust and learned the ways of our people. He is no longer a stranger, but one of us." The crowd cheered softly, a sound full of hope and acceptance. Rian felt a hand on his shoulder. It was Tessa. "Today is not the end," she said. "It is the beginning." Rian smiled. "I want to protect this world, just like you all." That night, as the tribe celebrated with song and dance, Rian looked up at the stars. The sky was wide and full of mysteries, but he no longer felt lost. He had found a new home. In the days that followed, Rian worked alongside the tribe. He helped, built shelters, hunted with the men, and trained with the women. His strength grew, but more importantly, his bonds with the people deepened. One afternoon, while exploring near the cliffs, Rian spotted a small group of travelers arriving. They were humans, 2 others from his world, lost or searching. He felt a surge of hope and fear. Would they accept this new world as he had, or would they bring old conflicts and fears? He stepped forward to greet them. ready to share what he had learned. Among the newcomers was a young woman named Liana. She was curious and brave, eager to understand the strange planet. Rian told her about the tribe, the customs, and the strength found in respect and trust. Liana smiled. Maybe we can all learn from each other? Together, they walked back to the village, the future full of promise. Months passed. The tribe thrived, and Rian's place among them was clear. He had faced many battles, some fought with fists, others with words and understanding, but the greatest victory was the change within himself. He was no longer a stranger lost in a strange world. He was a protector, a learner, and a friend. Women who once challenged him now stood beside him as allies. Essa was no longer just a rival, but a trusted companion. And as the planet's 2 moons rose high in the sky, Rian knew he had found something rare. Family not bound by blood, but by respect, courage, and heart. One evening, as Rian and Tessa stood watching the horizon, she turned to him. "Will you stay?" Rian smiled softly. "This is where I belong." She nodded, her eyes reflecting the stars. Together they looked to the future, ready for whatever adventures awaited. The planet was no longer strange, was home.